Giving Chances Farm. Today we're out here with the girls so that we can extract honey so they can finish up their 4-H project. They've been doing beekeeping in 4-H for a few years now, so now they're able to step up to the next division, and that division allows for extracted honey to be their project. So in order to do that, they need 2 1-pound glass jars a piece for their project. So we'll be able to extract plenty for that. The system we're going to use is we have the 2 boxes of honey that we pulled off of the hives yesterday. This piece between the 2 boxes is a bee escape because there was just a handful of bees that was still left in the box. So we allowed them to go on down through that box, and then I put another one under the bottom box to get them down in there so they're out of our way. Otherwise, the other option is to leave the top off the box, make it dark in here, and the bees will go towards the window, and then you can let them back out. So all that part of it's done. So basically what we're going to do is we'll take the frame from here to this is our Man Lake decapping tank. So this screw here, we'll set the edge of the frame on it. We'll scrape the wax cappings off of it down into this bucket. When both sides are done and all of it's open, we'll come over here to our extractor. This is a Lyson 20 frame radial extractor. So we'll set the frames in there vertically, and then we hit the button over there and it'll start spinning. So we'll kind of show you the steps of that all the way through. So this is kind of this was a newer frames, so they weren't quite all the way drawn out as far as from the previous year. So like this one here is a little bit drawn out.
That one's dark.
The reason that we go with the 9 frames in there, it gives them room to draw the wax out past the wood. So when it comes to this step, it makes it a world easier, because if it's out past the wood, the way that we do this, we use an extracting knife. We do not use the electric heated knife. You can. This one here is kind of like an overgrown bread knife, really. But what we do is you come in here and you're going to ride it along the wooden frame at the bottom here and the top. And we'll just kind of carve that wax off. So we get up here, just kind of at an angle and turn it.
And you don't want to cut it too much into the wax, because then that would take off a lot of the honey. Right, Dad?
Yep. So there. Now we look at this side and make sure all the wax caps are off. If there was some that wasn't, we would use our little rake here. And there's a couple of ways to use this one. You can either use it this direction, or you can go in and kind of pop them. So, yep. And that has a grate in there, so it will drip the honey off of the wax. And then we can actually recover some of that as well. Also, some of the bigger farms, they'll have a wax spinner. So they'll take all the wax out of the cappings and they'll put it into a machine similar to the extractor there, and it'll kind of spin it and recapture the rest of that honey off of it. It's on the list, but the entry-level junior wax spinner is, what is it, like $1,200-$1,300?
Something like that.
So it's not quite high on my list.
About the same amount as what we paid for
Yeah.
the extractor.
That would be like 2 extractors, except one's
Now
for
he'll
wax.
be able to show you right here
And right here.
some of the spots that didn't get cut with that knife.
So this side, you can tell they weren't all built out. So you kind of right here, you can see there's still some wax on it, and right there's still some wax.
And
So you basically just kind of scratch at it until they're open. And right there, they're open.
And Down
and then along this edge. And you don't want to do too much to destroy the wax, but you still got to get the cap part of it off. And then, as with most things, it's always nice to have a second person kind of verify it. So I always ask Taylor and Michaela or Brittany or whoever's kind of close by to give me just a little bit of a verification that we got it. It's not that big a deal today where we're only going to be doing 2 boxes worth, so 18 frames. And this extractor over here will actually hold 20 frames. So
It looks good.
So now we just lift this up.
Can you get it off the nail?
Yep. Bring it over here. Put it down in there.
Maybe.
There we go. Now we're ready to go to the next one. We just continue this process on until
We get
all of them that are coming out of the box,
20 frames.
or we have 20 frames in there, depending which today we won't because we only have 18 frames in here. So.
And they may not be all ready to
Right.
extract.
If you notice when I'm in the box, I'm starting in the center. The reason for that is that's normally where they start.
Shake it on this side.
Yeah. Now we have a little bit on this side that's not capped. You have to kind of be careful with the stuff that's not capped because the moisture content could be higher. There's a couple of different ways to test that. One way is with a refractometer. So you would take a little sample of that, put it on the refractometer, and you kind of look through it, and it's got a sight glass to look. Those are about, what, $75, I think they are.
Something like that for a good one.
Another way is if I have time, I would take a little sample of it. I could take it with me to Baston's, and which is our mentors, and they would be able to test it for me. Or we could use the old-time beekeeper method of
Just shake it.
turn it, give it a couple good hard shakes. It didn't fall out of there. Nothing dripped.
That's already dripped.
That big drip was already there, so nothing here dripped. I'll kind of show you right here. Everything's dry, right?
Okay.
Everything's still dry. The moisture content's good enough. We pulled it before they capped it. The rest of the frame is capped. And it's in the center, so they've started on this one, and then they work their way to the outsides. So now we just come through here. And none of this is waste. Okay?
On your pants.
Yeah, there's a piece on my pant leg.
Just in case it may
So even though we are cutting this section of wax off, it's falling down in here. But it's in the decapping tank so that the honey that's on here, for the most part, will go ahead and drip down into the bottom so that we can salvage it. Once we get big enough to where we can afford that wax spinner, we'll be able to recoup a lot more of that honey. The wax that we're cutting off of these, we melt down and sell as beeswax bars, and that way people can use those to. We have one customer that does leather work that uses our beeswax to run her thread through for when she's doing her stitching for her leather work. We have other customers that come to us for our beeswax to add into their products that they make, whether it be woodworking finishes that they're trying to do.
And hopefully add it to
We use beeswax for chapstick, lotion bars, those kind of things as well. There's pretty
So we have
wide use for.
a customer melt down a bar of our beeswax and added mineral oil to do his
Butcher block countertop.
butcher block countertop. So that's another option.
Yep. A lot of your high-end furniture, especially if it originates from overseas, that is what they do. They'll mix mineral oil and beeswax together, and I'll let you verify real quick one thing there.
I think it looks good.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Alright, since we're not putting 20 frames in here today,
Want to space them?
we're going to try to put
Space
the
them?
frames together, and we'll even everything out. Oops. So
Well,
there's 4 chambers in there, and we'll make sure we kind of even them out, and we'll try to keep the frames from that box together as well,
that way when we're done, we
Yep.
can take that.
back and put it on the same hive that it came out of. This year we only took, or this go around, we only took 2 boxes off, so we know exactly which hives they were that we pulled them off of. If not, if it's a time where we're harvesting a lot of them, we actually mark on the box the number of hive that it came off of. Then we mark the frames that way also, and we try to keep the boxes together. Some people do, some people don't. Mostly it's just my OCD. So
What's this?
obsessive compulsive
Compulsive disorder.
Yeah. But basically we're just gonna go ahead and we'll finish this box out and then show you what it looks like. I already did.
Okay.
While he's doing that, when the cappings fall down here, we can either, we'll leave these in here for a couple days. We'll cover it back up and allow the honey to drain since we don't have the wax spinner. And then there's two options you can do. Whatever wax is left in the, or not wax, but whatever honey's left in the wax, when we go to melt down that wax, it can just go along with it and just be melted down, and then the honey will come out. Or you could take this whole box out to your bee yard and allow the bees to clean off all the honey off of the wax, and they'll dry it out wonderfully for you. So we'll bring you back when we get
This box though.
this box done and show you how that all works.
Alright, so now we've got all the frames that we're going to extract in here. There's 2 in the red box. They're capped on one side but not on the other, so we decided not to extract them. The white box had 1 that was the same way. This is the amount of wax cappings we've got off of 15 frames. So we'll take this top bar off. We'll end up putting the lid on it, allow it to drain down in there.
We got a whole
And
bottle.
I can kind of show you. I'll lift this up so Brittany can see. That's the amount of honey that's down in there.
So
And there is a little bit of wax cappings down in there. But when we capture it out of the honey gate,
That's why you
we'll run
always
it through
use
this
one of these strainers.
bucket
Sounds
strainer
good.
basically.
Let's see. We use a 400 micron filter that fits into a 5-gallon bucket.
Yep.
So we have
So all we have left to do
open the gate.
is
The spider is attacking you.
open the honey gate. You don't want to run an extractor without the honey gate open.
Otherwise, that might end up really bad.
Yeah, it would damage it.
Yeah. One of us is gonna have to hold it because this wobbles a little bit.
I think Daddy may have it balanced.
I got it balanced. Watch out. Back up.
Remember, he always starts it slow anyways.
So on this one, it is electric, and it's got a plus, a minus, and a stop button, and it also has an emergency stop button. So
Oh, we don't want to press that.
Alright. Turn the power on. Well, why didn't it just, once you had the power on, oh, I did it again. It set us into a, it should give me a 0 over here. Now it gives me a 0. Something's not.
Right.
Yep. Alright, so we had a little bit of trouble code come up on the, kind of look like a T basically across here. So the first digit kind of looked like a 7, and the second one kind of looked like the back side of a 7. So it kind of looked like a T, and in the lid, when the lid is open, here's the error code it looks like. So it shows the lid being open. There's a little safety switch right there. This bracket goes down and hits it. Well, as soon as that shuts, now it's showing 0, like it's supposed to. Well, this plug right here goes to that sensor, and it was just a little bit loose. So it kept telling us that that was open. So that was our troubleshooting. So now, I always started out at 1 to get it spinning, and just kind of increase it slowly. That way it doesn't start really wobbling on me. Now we're at 2.
Is honey coming out?
No, it won't come out yet.
Oh,
It'll be all right. It just started.
now we're at 3. And you can hear it kind of whining a little bit.
Honey's splattering at the entrance, but it's not coming
Yeah. So now what it's doing by going around in a circle like that is it's slinging the honey
So you can see it like
out to
right.
the outer edge of the drum, and then it'll go to the bottom, and
Here it comes.
there we got honey coming out.
Well, it's not coming. I can see it.
Oh,
Because it's dripping. It's dripping.
let's see if we can get up to 5.
Because it needs to fill.
Because now you can start to see the wobbling. And the way I do it is I may take a little bit longer to do this than some guys by increasing the speed slowly. But to me, it's better on the machine. And it's better on me not having to sit here and hold it still, because everybody always complains that they're, because this isn't bolted down to the floor, that it walks on them. Well, if you try to keep the frames inside evened out within the machine, and then go up slowly, and what I do is when it slows down the wobbling part of it, then I increase it to the next speed. And I'll go all the way to the end. I think this goes up to 10 if I remember right from last year.
So.
Yeah.
And I'll get it to sling all the way at that number. And we'll just keep it on each number for just a little bit. Now we'll go to 6. You'll see the speed's kind of increasing a little bit.
And so is the honey flow.
Yep.
I just
a
need a
little bit
honey
of-
bubble. Looks tasty.
And basically the reason that we use the filter is to keep out a little bit of the wax, and to also just make sure that, you know, sometimes there might be a little particle of a bee still stuck to the wax while we, you know, when we're cutting it off of there. That just makes sure none of those particles are in the actual honey. It's not taking out anything that's going to reduce the effects of the honey to help with like allergies and those kind of things. All of those properties are still here because we're not heating it above its point to degrade any of that stuff. So
And also, there's
Yep.
little wax pieces coming out along with it because it gets slung
Right.
to the side.
and what we have to do now is you just have to keep an eye on the side of that bucket. As of right now, you can see that the level's right there. That's how much honey is in that 5-gallon bucket. If it comes up to just below this rim is where it'll actually hit the bottom of our screen. So what we do when it gets close to that, you got to remember you have honey in the filter there. So we try to judge what's in the filter with what's in the bucket, and we'll shut the machine down and shut the honey gate before it gets to that level. And then we'll swap buckets out.
How do you tell that?
See the darker ring?
The darker ring, so it's right there. So you just gotta stand back to the side if you guys are looking through the.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Alright, now I'm increasing my speed. We're up to 7.
So when you increase
Looks
the
like it's
speed,
down
the
there,
flow
yeah.
of the honey is coming out faster.
It looks like it's right
Yep, and then you gotta keep your eye on it. It's a game here because it's only gonna filter so fast, so I
Yeah,
can't
You're right, Taylor.
I'm
overrun
right.
the filter.
It's only
It is
right
low.
here.
It's
It's
lower.
lower.
Okay, but I see
There's a
there's
shadow.
a shadow on my side. But you just gotta make sure you don't overrun your filter and you don't overrun your bucket. Because in our case, that honey is money.
And delicious.
Yes, we do use it, but also we sell it at the farmer's market. So every little bit that we would waste could be profits out of our pocket. So, well, at
And
this
our
point,
time.
it's paying us back for equipment, really, still. But
Mm.
yeah, but we do use quite a bit of our own honey. Brittany tries to replace most of the sugar and sweeteners in the food that we eat, that we cook here ourselves. But there's some things, like when she makes fudge, that in order to get it to set up correctly, we still use sugars.
It didn't go to waste because
No, it turned into like hot fudge instead of hardened fudge for like a normal
like
chocolate fudge.
a thicker fudge
Like
that for an
grape.
ice cream topping you could use.
It's totally fine with us.
So where we took our goat's milk and added honey to it instead of adding powdered sugar, it like Tony said, it turned into making like ice cream topping fudge.
Now we're up to number 8 on here. When the frames that we put in here are really full to where the knife cuts the wax capping off of both sides of the frame and it's nice and thick, and we have a complete 20 frames in here, last year we were getting more than a 5-gallon bucket out of one round of frames. And when you fill the 5-gallon bucket for us to the bottom of that filter, that was the ballpark equivalent of 50 pounds.
45 to 50 pounds,
Yeah.
depending
On how close we got it to the bottom of that filter. And some of them we even lifted the filter up and let it
Then you
drain
would get-
because we caught it too
You
too
get
late.
closer to that 60 pound, which
Yeah.
they say a 5-gallon bucket's about 60 pounds of honey.
Right.
And I think the heaviest one we got from last year was like 59-ish.
Yeah. But the setup that we use also works out well for our extractor to have the in-bucket filter instead of having the like double metal filter that sits above the bucket, because as you can see, this actually sits underneath our extractor. If we did the other style stainless steel filter that sits above the bucket, we would have to put blocks on the bottom of our legs to get the extractor up in the air.
Which then you're taking a chance if it starts to vibrate and
Yeah.
move around. Unless you bolted it to
The bowl.
Something, yeah.
the blocks.
Okay. It's about to decline. It's
We're
just
going
a
up to 9 now. Okay, so we've run the extractor all the way up to 10. As you can see, it's still dripping honey out of there.
And we still can come back in with the spatula
Yeah.
and tilt it
And
that
clean the-
way and then
Clean the tank out. That's
drain it
Yeah.
more. But here's what they look like
a lot
after.
drier,
and we'll also get more from
and
the
all of the honey is out of them.
we'll also get more from the waxing.
So you basically just have to verify it. Girls, can you back up, please, so that Mom can get to the boxes she needs to get to. So now all we do is we put the frames back in the boxes.
Is this one also?
You just gotta look at it, make sure all of it's out.
Yep. They're gonna verify that all the honey's out. They'll put it back in the boxes. And we'll kind of show you down in there. Okay, so now we're down in here. Got it tilted on an angle. Brittany's finishing up with a rubber spatula, just kind of getting some of the pools off the sidewalls, kind of to speed the process just a little bit. It's nice and warm here where we're extracting in the garage.
It's not central air.
Which is nice because then it makes the honey flow a little better. But it also,
Doesn't feel good.
it's kind of warm. So, oh, I'll do a piece of wax in down in here too.
I think it's still good.
Okay.
So, see one piece of wax stuck on the frame holder there. Get that out.
Throw that in the wax.
Goes
There
in
we go.
there. That would kind of obstruct several holes in the filter.
Yep. So she's gonna continue to
I mean,
use her spatula in there. We're almost done with that part of it.
you can try and get as much as you can, and some people we know will take this outside and allow the bees to finish cleaning up the rest of the honey that's in here, and they say it does a pretty good job, but we don't know. We try and get as much as we can because that's what we use to sell at the farmer's market. So, and then when we're done, we just use some hot water to finish cleaning because the hot water will get all the honey off of it. And then you may have to do that a couple times to get all the stickiness off. But other than that, that's all we do. You don't want to put soap in there to rinse it. You just want to use hot water. And that's basically all you do.
Alright, so the only thing we got left to do for them now is we'll just let this finish draining into the bucket through the filter. We'll let it continue to drain through the filter, and then we'll allow the honey to settle for a while, let the air bubbles to come up to the top for a few days, and then we will bottle the honey, and then we'll do the same with the bottled honey. We'll allow it to kind of settle before we deal with putting the cap on it and all of that. So hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share on social media with all your family and friends. Leave your comments down below, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.